This is Jake Seeley, and I'm the blown ACL that ruins your football season.
Good news, everyone! Let's get dangerous.
This is so cool!
I know.
It feels so right!
It's Jake Seeley.
I'm sorry, who is this?
Nice try, Moonman. Pretended not to know. Earth's greatest mastermind!
You just made the list!
I thought you said that was a myth.
Just because it's a myth doesn't mean it's not true.
If you all blindly follow my plan, we may have a chance.
Sure, we talk about it all the time.
Really?
No, burn.
Game on, you ducks. And if you saw on Fantasy Pros or anything like that, yes, the good news is Barkley is back home, doing well. I'm not the one who left the food out, but not throwing stones or anything like that. You know, I'm just kind of saying that tongue-in-cheek for how it happened. Everybody makes mistakes. But the good news, like I said, got her to the vet quickly. She's back home. She is doing extremely well. No throwing up. No you-know-what's coming out her butt, squirts and stuff, and especially no seizures. So doing really good. Thank you for everybody who's reached out. And yeah, good times. On the bad times side of things, and jumping right into this, if you didn't see my apology on The Athletic, or I tweeted it out for the people who haven't seen it, Parkinson was a bust, failed us, bad ranking. But part of that being is the process was still there, and I would still do it again. They were talking about somebody, as I mentioned, previous 6 games, tight end 4, over 11, almost 12 fantasy points per game. He was top 10 in every single week except for one over those 6 games. And even if you take out his huge week 15, he was still almost 10 points per game, and he was tight end 5. So these things happen, especially at tight end. It was actually the first game since Higbee got hurt that he had fewer than 4 points, and he hadn't been targeted on at least 21% of the routes that he ran. He was targeted 21% heading into that game. They asked him to block a little bit more. We saw Terrence Ferguson get involved, frustratingly. And honestly, I don't know if we'll go back to Parkinson next week because the Atlanta Falcons get a similar pressure rate and actually blitz even more. So this is just what happens at tight end. And I saw somebody on Twitter that's like, well, the floor. Well, I mean, Jameson Williams has 2 zeros on the season. But to give you a comparison, a better one, let's talk wide receiver ones real quick. Puka Nacua and Jackson Smith-Njigba. They both have a game just like that under 4 points. George Pickens has a 4.5 and a 4.8. Ja'Marr Chase had 3.6 in week 1 and has a 4.8 and a 4.5. Collins has a 4 and a 4.7. Olave has a 4.5. Jameson Williams I already brought up. A.J. Brown has 3 games under 3 points. Sutton has 3 games under 4. And those are just wide receiver ones. And just for comparison also, at tight end, Kelsey has a 4.6 in the season. He has a 1.3. Pitts has 3 games of the same as what we just saw from Parkinson or less. Ferguson has a 2. Goddard has 4 under 4 points. Bowers has a 3.2. My point being is, no, I'm not saying Parkinson deserves to be top 5 like those tight ends. Outside this 1 week, he was on a run. I was going to chase the run. Again, the production had been there. He might have been entering the conversation. It's just, I think people expect players to be perfect. And I was just bringing up the elites to say even the elites can't be perfect. And still, that's what happens. But anyway, point being, top 5 is a bad rank. I apologize. You can swing for a little bit more ceiling heading into this week. And hopefully you're able to overcome that poor game. So these things happen, especially at tight end. But let's talk about the rest of the things that we need to worry about for week 16 as you head into, hopefully, like I said, a playoff win. Quarterback, real quick, these don't have so much, well, some of them don't have so much to do. The first one doesn't have so much to do with week 16. And the fact that Tyrod Taylor and Justin Fields are both starting to get limited practices. We have another week of Brady Cook. But either one or both, if you are in a super flex, I know people are grasping at straws for quarterbacks right now. If you're in a super flex league and want to grab either or both, Tyrod would probably be the one who gets to start before Fields at this point, but you never know if he's going to be okay. And if Fields were to start, the ceiling we know is essentially Jameson Williams of quarterbacks. You might get 20, you might also get a 4. But if you're in a situation where you're looking for quarterbacks, I saw somebody else ask that it was even thinner. One of the names that I popped up and said was Riley Leonard, just in the case that Phillip Rivers gets hurt or stinks again, and Anthony Richardson isn't ready to go. Anthony Richardson would be another name. So 2 other quarterbacks. Geno Smith is starting. Feel better about Brock Bowers. This gives a little bit of hope to Jack Besh, but that's really about it. Ashton Jeanty gets a slight bump. Again, not a huge movement, but it's better than it was with Kenny Pickett. Justin Herbert is completely off the injury report, but that doesn't mean anything for that thing that he's playing with on his left hand. And I know a lot of people see the matchup with the Cowboys. So there's twofold here. One, I'm speculative of Herbert as a whole. I brought it up on the Fantasy Pros podcast. Just 1 game over the last 6 or 7, I don't remember off the top of my head, that he's thrown 30-plus times, and he's just not throwing for a lot of yards anymore. And I know this is a pass funnel defense, especially with Quinnen Williams and the moves that they made at the deadline, stuffing the run and forcing teams to pass, and also being aggressive on that side. But we'll talk about that here in a second. But again, Justin Herbert, I'm not moving him inside my QB1 range. I know a lot of people have him there. He still has that ceiling. If you want to take the risk, I would put him in the same bucket of like a Jackson Dart and a J.J. McCarthy, as in you might get top 10, but you might continue to get what we've seen so far, and that's 11 points from Justin Herbert, which is not even top 20 a lot of weeks. So there's the risk there. To go to the running back situation, like I mentioned with Williams being questionable, sounds like he might be able to play. He has to clear the last hurdle for the concussion situation. If he's out there, Amarian Hampton is going to stay where he is with Kamani Vidal. If there is no Williams, I would actually bump up Hampton probably 2, 3, 4 spots. And the big question there is then, do we even have that ceiling for Herbert anymore, because they can just lean on the run, as they have been with the Herbert situation anyway. More running backs to talk about. There's no Devin Neal or Alvin Kamara for the Saints. I know there was talk and speculation about Estime being the lead, and he did catch a few passes, but I'm not... Look, you have to be desperate, and maybe some of you are, but I don't have Estime even inside my top 30, 35. I have him down there with Jordan Mason, second piece of a backfield, Devin Singletary, Ramondre Stevenson, Kareem Hunt in that split backfield. I just don't want to pin my playoff lives on Estime because, hey, the split was there with Evan Hull. I mean, the situation last week when Devin Neal left. So what if it's Hull, who I, by the way, have down in like the 40s? So I'm not chasing that, I guess, if you want to with Estime, but yeah, I need to see anything of anything. You know, maybe surprise. Maybe a complete shock, and all of a sudden we're going to have Estime as an RB2 for the championship week, because that would just be the ultimate capper on 2025. So moving on to the Chiefs, Rashee Rice is out. I have moved up Xavier Worthy inside the top 30, and Marquise Brown is in the wide receiver 3-4 range. Gardner Minshew doesn't stink. I mean, he's going to be basically, he's been lesser version Jameis Winston, that he'll be aggressive, but the floors have been lower and more frequent than Jameis has been in the past. So Gardner Minshew should still pass. I have Kelsey. I bumped him in front of Parkinson technically because I can't move Parkinson. He's locked into that position. More wide receivers to talk about. Drake London expected to play, and he's back. I have him inside the top 10 because the Falcons said the entire time they were going to be cautious, potentially even shut him down for the season because they had the playoff hunt. So if they are playing him, similar to Mike Evans, I'm putting him back out there. Like, they are risking it, which makes me think, hey, guess what? He's good to go. So top 10 for me. Kyle Pitts takes a slight ding. Kyle Pitts is the one that falls behind Travis Kelce, which bumps up Travis Kelce and created that whole mess. T. Higgins is questionable. If he plays a risky wide receiver 2 that he aggravates the concussion, or gets another one, I should say. But this would move Joe Burrow up. Joe Burrow would move up quite a few spots. He hasn't looked as good without T. Higgins. Right now, I have Burrow at 10. I'd probably push him up in front of probably Dak Prescott. I'd put him right at 6 in front of Dak Prescott against the Chargers if Higgins is out there. I mentioned Drake London, T. Higgins. Who else is it? Marvin Harrison. Back into the rankings. Sounds like he's going to play. Only limited practices all week, but he said he's good to go. But the fact that he never got a full practice in adds a little bit more risk. The previous time when we saw this, it was Marvin Harrison with Michael Wilson taking a huge hit. But now I have him closer. I actually have Michael Wilson just still barely in front of Marvin Harrison, but both as outside wide receiver 2, high-end wide receiver 3s in the names of Devontae Smith and Ladd McConkey and Wan'Dale Robinson. Just because of the risk of who it's going to be, you're probably going to be able to get both in your lineup this week, because I doubt that anybody's out here saying, oh, I have 4 guys inside the top 20. But that's where we are with that. And then some news kind of for Week 17 to look way, way, way ahead, and I'll mention this on the waiver show. Already mentioned him in waivers, that Kanata Mumfield, who's similar to Puka Nacua, and I wasn't sure that he would really win out, even though I like the talent if you go all the way back to my rookie stuff. But he actually stepped up quite a bit with Davante Adams being out, and the reason I bring this up is that Davante Adams is most likely not playing, according to Sean McVay, in Week 17. So if you have one of those situations where you can already stash him because nobody played him, on Yahoo, sometimes teams like you can drop somebody that you didn't use, whatever it might be, but just keep that name in the back of your mind. It's not like I want to start him as a wide receiver 3 or anything, but we never know what can happen between now and Week 17, or now and Sunday morning. I'm going to do an extended full hour instead of just a half hour on the Discord live video because I missed the Thursday one with Barkley heading to the vet. So again, thank you for that. Hopefully you avoided the Parkinson situation, and again, apologies if you didn't. I'm there with you. And that's about it. I don't know why I got all quiet and weird with my voice, but that's the end of the podcast. Okay. Happy.